Welcome to a special edition of the Journey Now podcast. We are so excited to bring you today's episode. Summer Friesen, who's one of our elders, joins me in an interview with Tami and Naomi from Scarlet Hope. If you don't know about Scarlet Hope, you can find information about them on our website. They are one of our amazing partners that are doing really great work in the city and have allowed us to enter into some of that work with them. Now, Scarlet Hope is a ministry that reaches and prays for and cares for women in the adult entertainment industry. So if you're listening to this podcast with little ears around, we want you to be mindful of that. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy this interview as much as we did.
This is an easy edit.
I feel
I know.
blessed.
Okay. Blessed.
All
right. Welcome to another edition of Journey Now, but this is a special edition of Journey Now because Summer Friesen, who's one of our fabulous elders, and I are here with our friends from Scarlet Hope. So we want to introduce you to Tami Majtan. Say hi, Tami.
Hello.
And Naomi Armistead.
Hey.
So welcome. We're so glad that you're here. For those of you who are listening, we are releasing a series of podcast episodes where we talk with our partners so we can give them a little bit more time to talk about the work that they do with our community and also talk to us about how we can get more involved and more connected, building relationships with you guys and the people that you serve. So Tami, so Scarlet Hope it's a nationwide thing, right?
It is, yeah.
And so you moved here from California.
From Nevada, actually.
Oh, from Nevada.
Yes.
Okay. And you started Scarlet Hope Nashville here.
I did.
So tell us about that journey a little bit.
It was one that I wasn't expecting at all. I mean, we were sitting in church in Reno, Nevada. This was in 2017. And the Reno director of Scarlet Hope stood up to talk about the ministry. And I grew up in a Christian bubble, had no idea that anything like this existed.
And this is in church?
This is in church,
Okay.
yeah. And I don't remember anything she said, but I felt as if I had to get involved, do something. And I hadn't ever felt that push. Now I know it was the Lord before. So I leaned over to my husband and I said, I think I need to do this, hoping he would say no, because it was a scary thing to talk about going into strip clubs.
And how long ago was this?
This was in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're married and you have kids at this point?
Yes, we have 3 kids,
Okay.
married, and I leaned over and said, I think I need to do this. And he said, I think you do. I'm like, crap, do. I don't know if I really want to. But in that moment, I just felt this fire that I had to do it. So I went on to the Scarlet Hope website, which there wasn't much on it at the time, read everything on there, ordered a book that they had helped write about this woman who they had ministered to and had left the industry. Read everything, started serving, still had no idea why the Lord called me to go to these women. And first night in the club, scared to death. Obviously had never been in a strip club before, did not know what I was didn't know what to expect at all. Walked in and looked these women in the eyes, and it was as if everything else, all the lights, all the music, everything just faded away.
Wow.
And I saw these women as fearfully and wonderfully made, yet look where life has taken them. And so in that moment, the Lord gave me such a deep love for them that I can't help but go. And strip clubs on a Thursday night's my favorite place to be. And growing up in a Christian bubble, that's not, I mean, my mom still says, I can't believe you go to strip clubs. Well, I do proudly. So the Lord just called me to it. And it's a calling that I couldn't ignore, and I still can't ignore, and I can't help but go and love these women. So in the fall, we'll celebrate 6 years of Scarlet Hope being here in Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were a volunteer there.
Volunteered
in
for
Reno,
almost 2 years there.
and then you moved here and
yeah.
then decided to bring it here.
Yeah, before we moved here, we knew that there was no Scarlet Hope Nashville, and so we purposed to
cool.
found that once we moved here.
That's
so
awesome.
it was kind of in the works, but still had no idea what God was going to do.
Yeah.
And it just was a friend and I walked into strip clubs on a Thursday night with a plate full of cookies. It was super awkward where we had cookies, paid the cover charge, got in, asked these, they're like, do you want to lap dance? I'm all, no. Do you want a cookie? No. And did not know how to start building relationships. And then slowly, like management said, of course, bring food in. So that's how we started being able to just love these women right where they're at here in Nashville. Yeah.
Food is such a doorway.
Yeah.
It's such a doorway.
Yep.
Okay, so Naomi, you are a volunteer. You're not on staff, right?
right.
So tell us about you.
Yeah, I have the privilege to volunteer for club outreach on Thursday nights. So about once a month, I go into the clubs and hang out with the women. I also do Cafe Mondays. So that's like when we host the women in our space at our resource center. So we have like hours set out for that, where we have coffee, we have like awesome cozy couches and chill time, but we also like we'll have Bible study or like parties or whatever. And so we welcome the women to come hang out with us in our space where we can create the tone and the environment there.
So the women that work at the clubs are invited to come, and it's just they just choose to drop in.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we have to reach out to them.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to come today? You know?
That's cool. I bet they like that.
Yeah.
How many people tend to come to those?
Yeah, it really depends on the week, on the day. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like it really just depends.
But I bet even when it's one, it's probably really
it's
special.
so quality.
Yeah.
Because then we can really just surround that woman and go deeper with her.
yeah.
Yeah.
And every time we're like, okay, we know why God brought her.
Yeah.
Just for her to be with us. And once they're in our doors, they don't want to leave. Like this one woman, she'll come and stay 8 hours, and she'll take a nap on our bean bags, and she'll eat our ramen, and she'll just hang out. And you watch the women when they enter our space, their shoulders drop and their breathing regulates, and they just feel safe. And their world is not safe. And so to give them this environment that is welcoming and no judgment and just, we love you just as you are, is huge. Their kids are welcome to come. So, but yeah, we always have the snacks, and you guys have been a huge help with that to keep that going.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, Summer, you're the what we call the champion for Journey for Scarlet Hope, because you essentially brought them to our attention. So tell us about that and how that came to be.
Yeah, one of my friends started volunteering with Scarlet Hope, and I also was like, wow, I can't believe a ministry like this exists. I grew up in the church, but it obviously is a different kind of outreach than the traditional organizations that at least I grew up with my church partnering with. And I, obviously being drawn to Journey, am drawn to organizations that reach kind of the margins of society, like Jesus interacted with the margins of society. And so for me, it really struck a chord from a value standpoint, and it seemed to be such a beautiful fit with our community because one of our foundational values is hospitality. And so, I just got to hear through my friend that had been volunteering about the impact and the ministry that was happening, and just the really genuine way that you all went into these places and just love the women well, with no agenda other than just to love them. And so that struck such a chord with me, and I thought was so beautiful. So learned more about the organization, got to meet Tami, and I'm grateful that Journey is partnered with you all. I would love, Tami, you talked about you started with just bringing cookies in, and food and a meal is such a transformational way of connection. Talk about how, especially when you first started here, when you went in and it was awkward and you didn't have any relationships forged, talk about how you built those relationships and how God kind of provided some of those inroads to the clubs.
It was super slow and steady. I mean, you're reaching out to strangers, right, to build that, and our consistency of showing up week after week. So back then, there was one club that let us into their dressing room, and so we got to sit with the women while they're changing their clothes, they're putting on their false eyelashes. We just got to, where their guard is down a little bit, sit with them And we would just ask them questions about their life, like, tell us about your kids.
How did they feel about you being in there?
Other church ladies, that's what they call us, the church ladies, had come before us. And so they were a little bit used to that.
Okay.
But the way we came in was different than how other groups had come in. And so we just wanted to sit with them. We weren't there to force Jesus down their throats. We just wanted to love them, see them, and just do life with them. And so I think they could tell that about us. And when we would remember things that they would tell us about their kids the next week, like, tell us how so-and-so did, at their t-ball game or whatever. Like, you feel seen when people remember you. And so we really worked hard to build that. So that was at one club in their dressing room, which was a huge gift, but that only lasted a couple months. And then another club, just the manager was a believer, but at that time not really walking with the Lord, as he's a general manager at a strip club. And he just welcomed us in with open arms and said, these women need you. They're not going to be doing this for the rest of their lives. They just please come and just love them. And so we eventually moved from a little table at the front that said reserved on it, which he reserved just for us, and then built that, or just grew that into, we ended up having the largest VIP section at the club. And so then after 3 years, we would have like 15 women just sitting on those couches waiting for us. And we'd get there and they would scarf all the food and we'd eat with them, which was really great. And so just that, doing life with them and showing them that we were safe, really was the transition to that, of building relationships where they would let us in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine that trust is a really big deal.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
Because they're in character all the time. They don't let their guard down.
They don't give you their real name all the time.
Yeah. They're not, if they say they love pizza, that's part of their character. They might really love hot dogs. So just that, if they share something that's true, we hold that sacred and we hold that close to us, and we respect that and honor that, and we treat them that way.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What was your other question? Or did I?
I think you answered it. Yeah.
So I remember when I first heard about Scarlet Hope and the going to the clubs on Thursday, I was like, I want to go to a club on Thursday and check it out. And then I learned, you don't just get to show up at the club on Thursday. Right. So talk a little bit about that process. And you've been doing it for a while, right, Naomi?
Yeah, over a year.
Yeah. So we really want to protect not only the women that we're going to serve, but also our team. So every person who wants to volunteer, who's going to be face-to-face with a woman, goes through an application, references, background check, extensive interview, and extensive training before you even step foot into that. And we're even transitioning to, once you start and are on the team, been trained and everything, that you're gonna pray for a while. You're gonna go to the club that we can't get into, but you're gonna sit outside and just pray and just really have a heart for these people, or for these women, and then go into the club. Because a lot of people, I know my first time, I didn't get to go into the club right away, and I was so disappointed. But because I was expecting to go in a club, like you're all built up, you're ready to go, you've been all the things, and you want to just go. But we really want to build all of this on prayer.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like such a important, like, formational step in that process. Like you're giving time for the Holy Spirit to form you so that you can be prepared to go in, rather than letting just the experience form you, because the experience is going to form you.
Yes.
But like, it just seems like a good, really intentional way to do that.
Yeah. And just like, the Lord's doing a lot personally in my life as to how I look at prayer and the power. Am I believing in the power that prayer actually can do? Does it actually change things? And so the Lord is giving me this deep reverence for him in my prayer life. And I want our teams to experience that same thing, because that's what's going to change. Those are the prayers that the Lord hears, are reverency. And we want to just be faithful to that and let the Lord be in control and not us. We're just his pawns, his vessels.
I mean, if it's okay, I would love to hear more about that, because I imagine that in the work that you do, there's a lot of time spent praying and releasing.
Yeah.
And the outcome or the quote unquote answers to your prayers they don't come easily or
no, it's
in
long.
a timely manner.
Yeah, no. We may
to our
never,
time frame.
we may never see the fruit of what we're doing.
Yeah.
We are, after almost 6 years, the Lord is kind to, we are seeing some fruit. We've had maybe a total of 5 women come to know the Lord, and 1 get baptized, and they've transitioned out of the industry, which is beautiful. But we also want to see the rest of the hundreds of women, in the industry. And the 5,000 women here in Nashville alone who are selling themselves online. Like, we want everybody to know the hope and the love of Jesus. And so just starting with prayer, like we would pray. We have our team time and we would pray, but the weight behind, at least in my own heart, the weight behind really letting the Lord hear those prayers, or just saying what I hope God does, before we go out, we would always pray, but the depth to that, the Lord's just opening my eyes to that. So there is one, like I said, one club that we can't get into. And so we just sit outside a team of 2 and our defender who drives us, which is a great way for men to get involved. Yeah. So men go through the same interview, background check, all of that, and they drive us from our resource center to the clubs, and they'll sit outside and just keep an eye out. Naomi's husband is a defender, and he's fantastic.
Which you get to be called a defender.
Yeah,
right?
wasn't that awesome?
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. And one of our defenders, he actually drives a Defender. Is it a Ford Defender?
I think it's like a Range Rover.
Range Rover Defender. Little light pops on the ground that says
brand.
Defender. Yeah.
Black with black tinted windows.
Yeah. So it's a great way for men to be able to get involved, and they, show their muscles a little, just act protective wise,
great.
So that is huge. So they drop one team off at one club and then drive to the other and sit outside and just pray. And we have prayer prompts, and we just spend about a half an hour just before the Lord saying, God, what do you want to do here?
Yeah.
You know these women, you know these men inside, you know their hearts, their desires, their struggles. You see them right where they're at and you love them. What do you want to do? So we submit to your authority in this, but we ask for change, we ask for hearts.
So how long have you been praying around this club that you can't get into?
What's it been, almost a year?
Has it? I was going to say 6 months, but maybe it's been that long.
Well, we were kicked out and then, or just told we couldn't go anymore.
And why? Are you able to say
why?
Well,
yeah, we didn't know for the longest time, but then we had an inside person who said that the owner of the club he didn't know who we were. He just heard church ladies and thought we were stopping the women from working, pushing Jesus down their throats, and we weren't doing any of that. We were sitting there, and maybe we wouldn't even talk to anybody while we're in there. Just our presence and praying in our minds, was enough. But so he just said no more, they can't bring anything. And so now we respect that. And that had happened before, where they just said you can't come anymore. And then we just dropped off pizzas at the front door for a while. And then another church ladies group came in, and then they're like, whoa, wait, no, we're not, can't. So that ended it for everybody.
There's
and then
always one that ruins it.
So we respected that.
Bless their hearts.
Yes. Yeah. So we respected that, but then we thought, let's just the club that we had built beautiful relationships in, and the general manager there came back to the Lord and just told the owner, I don't want to do this anymore. And so the club closed, and he's walking with the Lord, and now the owner is saved and walking with the Lord. And so that club is done, shut down, sold.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, can I just say I would love to own that one day and redeem that building as our resource center. I don't know if the Lord will ever do that, but that's my
Lord, hear our
dream
prayer.
there. Yeah, for sure. So where was I going with that?
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
About how it was sad. It was really sad when we got kicked out of that one club.
Oh, that's what I was answering.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really sad, and we were like, what do we do? But it honestly feels so strategic now of we can't go inside, but we've been really strategic about prayer. And like when we park outside that club, like we bring the names of the women that we know before the Lord. Like it feels more intentional. It feels like God was doing this for a reason. It's like we might get back in there again one day, but it's like there's a reason why we're praying right now and just interceding for what he's gonna do.
Yeah. And then also building great relationships with the bouncers who stand outside. I mean, did Addison tell you anything about this last week?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Do you want to share something?
I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. But they just, I actually don't remember the full story.
So the bouncers standing outside grew up in foster care.
Oh, that's right.
And Naomi and her husband are doing foster care.
Yes.
And so they got to bond on that and just talk about his perspective, growing up that way. And so just seeing, these are just people. They're not bouncers of a strip club. They're men just
with stories.
Regular, men with stories who grew up and let Addison pray over him. And so it was beautiful. So we're also,
cool.
If we're not in, we're outside and building relationships.
I know a lot of the bouncers too sometimes get protective over you.
Yeah,
as
they
well.
do. Yeah.
and
will
sure
walk
that
us
you're
to our
safe.
car. Yeah, all of that. And the women too. Like if customers try to come up and talk to us inside the club, the women will be like, no, they are here for me. You wait your turn, and so we appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Naomi, I would love to hear more about, you said you've been volunteering for about a year. What has that experience been like for you? How do you feel like you've seen the Lord move in the women's lives, in your life, in your husband's?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really impactful for me. I think we've done a lot of ministry, and a lot of ministry has been inside the church, and I'm very convicted about like getting outside of the walls of the church. And I think it's important to serve your local body, but it's like so important to join the rest of the body. And so I feel really passionate about that. And it's been like, I think for us, we've done a lot of ministry where we saw like these instant results, if that makes sense. Like kind of like when you go up to people and you're like, you just like, can I pray for you? Or like, what's going on? Like we do a lot of homeless ministry and like street evangelism where it's like very like in this moment, this is like what's happening. And so to be a part of a ministry that's like, we are here for the long haul has been such a shift and a blessing, because it's given me just this different take of being patient and being steadfast and trusting the Lord's process and building like real deep relationship with these women. And so that's been really a good muscle for me to flex. And yeah, it's been amazing. Like it takes time for sure to develop like personal relationships with people. It's not like you join the ministry and then all of a sudden you have like all these dancer friends. Like it takes time for sure, but it's been really special to be able to cultivate that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in such an instant gratification.
We are.
Culture and society.
Yeah.
To wait for anything to come to fruition. Or like you said, Tami, you may never see the fruit yourself, but you guys are planting such beautiful seeds in these women's lives. So, talk about, you have a new kind of branch of your ministry. Talk about how that came to be and what you're doing there.
So Illicit Spa Outreach is our new branch of ministry, where we go to women working in the illicit spas. There are just in the Brentwood, Franklin area, 11 of them. They look like your normal spa, like you would go to massage, get a massage there. But these women are actually being trafficked, sex trafficked, labor trafficked, and it's all under our noses. And so a lot of them are from China. And so there's a language barrier, but there's still women, and they're still being exploited and trafficked, and they have families that they're providing for over in China that they probably will never see again. So I didn't know if the Lord would ever have that be a Nashville thing for us to do. The network has done it here and there. And so the Lord just kind of pulled some puzzle pieces together, and the network started doing it again. And we just thought, okay, now's the time. And just the Lord gave me a huge heart for these women. So we're going. We had a larger team, and the team kind of just decided to go, just left Scarlet Hope. So that ministry's on pause until we get more volunteers. And so that would look like, if you wanted to volunteer, it's like one Saturday a month where we just walk in, just like we go in the clubs, we see these women right where they're at. We walk through the doors, we hand them a gift, and we just tell them that we love them and we're here for them. And we just slow and steady through Google Translator build relationships. Like, can we have a meal with you? Tell me about your family. How long have you been working here? And it's really, we're only in about 5 minutes at a time because we don't want to be a disruption. We don't want to, for them to get in trouble for not working, all of that. So we pop in. And so that will be a consistent thing. Like, they see the same faces every month coming in to build those relationships.
So you go to all 11 of them on Saturdays?
Well, yeah, that's the goal.
Okay.
Yes, when our team gets big enough.
Yeah. And so you walk in, what's the gift?
It could be anything from like slippers or toiletries or a journal, anything that like just can be theirs. Yeah. We all love gifts, but it's...
The men bring flowers, so we try not to bring flowers because we're trying to bring something different, not just like something that just sits there and you throw away later.
Yeah, the men like their clientele?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think for Chinese New Year, we brought in decorations, like red stuff that they can hang, and they loved that. Like, whatever we bring in, they end up displaying. So we kind of make it be like faux succulents, or something that they can just proudly put up, and then with a Bible verse attached to it or something. So this will be another slow and steady, where we're just building relationships. We care about their soul, and we want them to know the hope of Jesus, but we also want them to be free from this life. And so there's a lot of shame built in it with the Chinese culture and shame. And so we want to not only share Jesus, but if they want a new life, we're putting tools together to help them with that. We're partnering with different rescue organizations, and we will always have a defender. We'll also have like a backup security guy that's not attached to Scarlet Hope, but who's licensed, and just in case something happens, or if a woman says, I want to leave right now, that we're able to help her with that.
Wow.
So the Lord has been kind to connect us with immigration lawyers and people with different ministries who can get women quickly out of the state if we need that.
Well, and there are a couple of those based here in Nashville too, right?
Yeah.
So how many volunteers do you need to get that going?
5. We have 2 right now. Well, plus myself, I won't be as consistent, but we have 2, and then so we can get it to 5. That means 2 women could go in to a spa, and then 2 could stay out in the car with the defender and pray. We won't ever have 1 woman and 1 defender just sitting in the car. So we want always at least 4 women who can consistently go every month. So,
and you do it once a month?
Yes, for now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll see what God does, but it's a beautiful, like we launched it in February and then had to take a step back. And so now we just trust in the Lord's timing as to when he says go again.
So what if I want to know if the spa that I go to is legit?
You could either ask me or there's a website.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a website, and the purpose of this website is for traveling men to be able to go online and just, like, if they're in Chicago for the night, where could they go? So it's really sad that this stuff's out there.
Yeah,
but it's there.
Well, we'll leave your contact info in the show notes so they can contact you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then isn't there what else? Isn't there a texting?
There is.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So every Wednesday, and we need more people to join our text outreach team. Also, we have 2 people doing it right now. So Scarlet Hope owns software that we are able to send a message of hope to women who have sex for sale ads online. So we put our criteria together, women between 18 and 65, female, a certain radius around Nashville or whatever zip code we put in, and then a message that says like, hey friend, how are you today? Just want you to know someone is here if you need someone to talk to. Or if it was right after Christmas, like, did your kids have a good Christmas? Like anything that just is some sort of message that will get them to respond. We don't know where these numbers are going to because it's we put in the criteria and the software scrubs the internet for these ads that match that criteria.
Wow.
So we send a text out to about 250 women, and then we wait for responses to come back in. And we'll get anything from F you, how'd you get my number, to the ones that we just pray and hope for, where we had a woman say, oh my gosh, I was just on my knees praying for the Lord to save me, and your text came in.
Wow.
And so all from the one to the other, the extreme, we just pray over all of those responses that come in, and we continue through text just to try to build a relationship. And sometimes they'll let you in, sometimes they have no idea who's on the other line. I mean, they're used to responding to men. Sure. And so they're very just scared a little bit. But we have women who are so desperate for food or toiletries or whatever that they will agree for us to Uber, or they will let us Uber them to our resource center for a food box.
Which is based here in Brentwood.
Yes, yes. And so we'll Uber them, they'll show up, we'll give them a food box, we'll get to sit with them, hear their story a little bit, pray for them. And then if we're blessed enough to have them come back a second time, they will often say, the first time I showed up, I had knives in my boots because I had no idea where I was going and I needed to protect myself, but I don't have my knives today. Can you pray for me?
Yeah.
And so those are beautiful. So the Lord has allowed us to build these deep relationships with about 5 women over the last couple of years who we're really walking with them, watching their story, and just the Lord's timing in their life.
Yeah.
That prostitution brings a lot deeper. Usually they're homeless. Usually they're living moment to moment. They're doing the unthinkable to survive. And so their story isn't as quick to change, so but we're there for them. One volunteer drives this one woman from one homeless camp to another homeless camp and gives her food, but we're there and we take her out to lunch sometimes, and we just stay in communication. So we trust the Lord with the result. We're just faithful in the moment.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's big.
Yeah.
It's big. So yes, we have club outreach, text outreach, and illicit spa outreach are our different, and then our Cafe Mondays that we're open.
And what are the hours for Cafe Mondays?
It's about noon to 9.
Okay.
Yeah. And so just as if the women would go to Starbucks to hang out, we want them to come to our space and just hang out. You can nap, you can study, you can watch a movie, but we just end up talking, or they will literally nap, and we just get to build this safety for them. And so there's one woman who she is autistic, and we are one of her safe places. Like agoraphobia? Is that when you're afraid to go places?
Yeah,
I think that's
it. So she has that, and her doctor was asking her, where are her safe places? And we were one of the 3 places that she mentioned. And so we cherish that, and we praise the Lord for that. And
awesome.
She's a Satanist, and she's our biggest cheerleader within the clubs. So it's
I need to hear more about that.
Well, let's say she's.
I just love how she says that, like, she's a Satanist and she's one of our
She thinks she's a Satan.
Yes. Well, that's true. She actually, my favorite thing to share about that is that she was going to a tarot card reader, and that reader said to her, "Are you sure that you're following the right deity?" And she's like, well, maybe not.
That's
interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. And so she's like, she knows scripture, she reads the Bible, and I mean, you're getting really close to her. So if there's anything not too personal that we can share about her.
Yeah, I don't know what to share. I mean, she's just an amazing person. She has a lot of darkness in her life. She has, I mean, this girl has been through it. So there's a reason why she's clinging to these
Yeah.
dark things and these beliefs, but
Sure.
she is so attracted to what we have in the hope of Jesus. So she even says things like, well, like, the church ladies aren't trying to convert me, but, like, it's not impossible that I would ever become a Christian. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's very open to it. And I feel like she's our most like seen, most engaged person that we have, and which is just a true testament of like what God's doing.
Yeah, Thursday night before we went to the club, she called me and said, "Are you still coming?" And I said, "Yeah, well, are you there? We'll see you soon." And she said, "No, I'm not. I just wanted to call you and thank you for all that you do for us." I'm like, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
You know,
She
just
talks,
beautiful.
and she talks other dancers into like receiving help from us, and just like, you can trust them, like, they're good people.
She's your advocate now.
She's our advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy to judge people
Yeah.
by what they do or how they appear. And I think it's so amazing that you get to build these inroads and relationships with these women in here and get to carry just the heaviness of their stories, because like you said, they don't end up here by choice.
Yeah.
They don't end up here out of a really
Trauma.
stable
Hard
upbringing.
things. Yeah.
And once you hear people's stories, gosh, it makes it much harder to judge when we enter into their stories with them.
Yeah.
So
Well, I love how you just talked about that too, because it's like, you know, you throw in, I mean, all the things. Like, I would think that there are people who would resist getting involved because they're intimidated by the work or afraid. I mean, like, you know, you just talked about somebody being a Satanist, like, you know, I mean, that would be scary for some people, you know, but you've obviously like taken the fear out of that, and you're not afraid of it, and you're not like, you've diffused any kind of thing there.
Yeah,
so like
it's interesting because it's, if you know her, she's actually really afraid. Like, she has so much fear, and it's like, we have the hope of Jesus, so it's like it's hard to compare. You know what I mean? Because I think what you're saying is true. It's like, it can be, you can think it's really intimidating, like, oh my gosh, this person like believes in the devil and like, or worships the, you know what I mean? And it's, but when you are attached to the darkness like that, you have so much fear in your life. You're crippled with fear, and it's like, we don't carry the same things at all, so it feels different.
yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Got any more?
What would you say are your biggest needs right now? We've touched on a couple of them, of just more volunteers for the illicit spas. But what are the things that either in an acute basis or on an ongoing basis that you need?
Like a list of
ministry?
how we can be involved.
Our most tangible need right now, and you guys have been so good at doing this, is dropping off snacks at our resource center, like Costco gift cards, or gathering snacks yourself and bring them, just keeping our space stocked, because we don't know who's coming in. And a lot of trauma survivors will turn off their body's notifications that they're hungry or thirsty. So when we are always offering them something to eat or drink, then they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how hungry I was. You know, thank you for this. Just so the basic needs. So our stock is getting low. So that's our most basic. As we get closer into school starting, we want to host a back to school drive, and we have a lot of items still left over from last year, but we would love to be able to hand out lunch boxes and thermoses to these kids. So that's an upcoming need. As far as like ongoing, we're really in need of monthly donors. And Journey Church is fabulous of being a monthly donor. We're also wanting to increase like our individual monthly donors, so we know exactly what's coming in every month. So that's a long term, like we're always asking and needing that. And then right now we are in need of a secretary to sit on our board. It's me and 4 men, so please bring more estrogen.
We need another woman on this board.
Balance this out. So if anyone's interested in that, they can reach out, and I would love to talk through all the details.
Yeah.
So those are our like right now needs. Is there anything that you can think of? Okay.
Maybe just volunteers, like
Yeah,
if you're interested in spa outreach.
Yeah.
Do you need more volunteers for clubs?
We can always. Yep. Summertime is kind of dwindling, or we have new mamas who are taking a season away. And so, to be able to have at least 4 going every night right now with summer coming up, we have 2 going out at night. So it's just a longer night where those 2 will go pray and then they'll go into the club.
Yeah.
So it's like double duty.
Yeah.
And we always need more defenders.
Oh, always need more defenders. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
a late night, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We meet at our resource center around 8:30. We get to the clubs around 10 on Thursdays, and then we don't get back to the resource center at 12:31. And then all of our drives home. None of us live in Nashville or Brentwood, so then the long drive home. Yeah.
And then also there's the meal train to provide the food
Yes.
for Thursday nights,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so we always have a link to that available. And then that's just getting the food to the resource center in Brentwood.
Yes.
Like by around 8 o'clock at
8:30.
night.
8:30.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. In all disposable stuff.
Yeah.
So
and it can be delivery if it's not
Yeah.
homemade, like,
Yep.
but something for
Yep.
you guys to take with you to the clubs, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our in. Like every single week, whether we talk to a bunch of women in the clubs or not, at least one woman is saying, "Thank you so much for the food. Like I didn't have the money to order takeout tonight, so thank you. I needed this." Yeah. Or it's my one meal for the day, you know?
Yeah.
So it's been huge. Yeah.
What about for you personally? Because this is like deep spiritual work that I imagine comes at a cost.
Yeah. Yeah. For me personally, the Lord has been so kind over these last 6+ years to help me to just let things go and to not always carry the secondary trauma. Like we're hearing people's deep, unthinkable stories all the time. And so the Lord has been gracious in that. But just in this last season, I think God's just growing me because it's been hard after hard after hard, just as a leader or as sitting with people in their stuff. And just a month ago, I felt like I was going to break. Like I felt like I couldn't see straight. I was so emotionally exhausted. But again, by the Lord's kindness, I started a 2-week staycation the next day. And so that was great. So it's a lot, and it's heavy, and it's lonely. And our outreach coordinator wants to care for our volunteers so well to make sure they're all healthy.
Yeah.
You know, at one point, our
She
dream
really
would
is
be
like a pastor.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Our dream would be to have a counselor that our volunteers can go see.
Yeah.
You know,
because you have people come in and offer pro bono counseling to the dancers, right?
Yes.
To the women that you serve.
yeah, we
That's
would
awesome.
love someone to be on stand all the time, or to
Yeah.
be at our space on Mondays where we could just fill them up
Like a
with
chaplain type of person.
Yeah, because a lot of the people who offer their services pro bono, it's like 8 or 9 in the morning. Well, these women, that's when they go to bed.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't work for them. So we need somebody who's available at 8 or 9 at night to be able to sit with these women and do a counseling session. And that's just hard to find.
With the dancers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, with dancers. Yeah, that's a good qualification. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's heavy. How about for you?
What was the question?
Just personally, how do you feel doing this ministry?
Yeah. I think it depends probably what's going on in my life at the time, but I think
Well, right now you're doing foster care and you're serving in this ministry, so you're like kicking down strongholds everywhere.
it's
Overachiever.
true. It's a lot of I'm trying to cut back. It's a lot of serving and sacrifice, but I think I have picked up some really good tools. We even had like a Scarlet Hope conference last year, and they taught us about case management, which was really helpful because you're able to apply some more physical and like emotional boundaries of, hey, this is what you can take on, this is what you can offer to people, and this is maybe what you don't. And that is like super helpful when you are in so deep and you're hearing everyone's problems. Like this is their lack over and over. This is their lack because, as a believer and a compassionate person, you just want to like, oh my gosh, I have this. Let me give it to you. Like, how can I stop everything and give things to you? And it's that relationship with the Holy Spirit, but also having those tools in your belt of knowing this is what I can provide for
Yeah.
you, and this is what I can't. And that's been really, really valuable for me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to become desensitized
No.
and shut off.
Right.
But like you said, you have to have some boundaries of knowing it's not mine to provide everything that they
Right.
need, but just
Right.
being sensitive to the
Right.
Holy Spirit.
I
think
can't
that's
make
why-
everything right for you.
Yeah. I
Right.
think that's why it's so important that you guys have prioritized prayer. I know you spend a lot of time in prayer before going out into the clubs, so you can just have that awareness and walk with that awareness.
Okay, my last question for both of you.
Yeah.
What do you want the church or church people to know about sex workers?
That they are not what their job is, that they are just regular human beings who just are searching and want to be seen and known and are doing the unthinkable to survive. I often talk about this group of people as an untouched people group because as believers, we want to turn our head away
Right.
from sexual sin. And we work so hard to do that. And so that means even turning away from the people. And so like we drive by the strip clubs and we tell our kids to look the other way, you know, or whatever. And they just want to be cared for and loved right where they're at. So I think their stigmas keep whatever stigmas are out there, which there's a bunch of them, that's not true. That's not who they are. I'm not a stigma. You're not a stigma. And so we don't want to see we shouldn't see other people that same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say?
I would just tag on that not all of them want to be there. It's not like
Yeah.
all of their desire is
Nobody grows up wanting to be a sex worker. Someday.
Yeah. A lot of them want out or are sad that this is,
And they can't
life.
just leave. That's another.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of like that addiction, like where people have at a casino, because it's like some nights they can really cash out and get a lot of money, and some nights they don't, but you never know. And so it's like, I gotta there's this pull of like, oh my gosh, because
The what if.
what if, like I got a good hit last night, and like maybe I can get it again. And it's this thing that just this perpetual cycle, and it steals. It doesn't. It lies to them. So it is. I don't want to necessarily call it like an addiction, but it is. It's like this enticing thing that pulls them in. But yeah, they don't want to be there. They have a need, and for finances, for sure, that's a huge part of it. But I would just say, I would love people to know that they are just like us. Honestly, they have the same needs and a lot of similar things going on in their life, but they just need love. They need someone to care. They need someone to look them in the eyes, and not everybody's looking at them in the eyes.
Yeah. That's really good.
That's a good word. Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
We're going to have, I'm assuming in the show notes, we'll have some links and information and things like that of ways that you can get involved. Contact info for Scarlet Hope. And of course, Summer and I are always here and available for any questions and all that. But thank you so much. May God continue to bless you and give you strength and peace and hope to continue the work that you're doing. We are really grateful that you're out there doing it.
Thank you. Well, we're grateful for a church like you who cares about these women. You're not turning your head away from
we
them.
want them to come.
Yeah. And that's what we need, are safe churches where we can direct these women. Like, you will be loved and cared for here.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to tell them.
You can come sit with me.
Yes. So thank you for being a church that sees and loves.
Yes,
That's
thank you so
huge.
much.
Yeah.